Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to go over to the Prototype 6. It is a tank that was added into the game on the most recent patch on Tuesday. And I am just gonna say it. I want to get it out of the way because I can't find myself to enjoy it. The Prototype 6 is, in my eyes, early, just letting you guys know, not finished. It is introduced into the game, not complete just yet, as I'm trying to get everything set up on my end. It, it, how to put it? We have tanks in game that outright are just better, and it saddens me to say that because I I had a really high hopes for this tank on its, initial inclusion into the game. I spent a little bit of time looking over a couple of replays over on PC, and those replays that I was watching, I was impressed heavily, just because on PC the tank is offered with a advanced autoloader. A gun that, you have a 9-second reload, an 11.51, a 15.34 on PC, and then you get a 3 clip and you clip out in 5 seconds. So it's like a Progetto, it's like a Pantera, it's like the CS-40, no, it's like the C-45 Tier 10, it's like the Rosarante. Um, and what really sucks is that inside this tier, it's perfectly placed right next to another tank that I don't recommend, which is the Basante C-45. This is another tank that needs a little bit of love. Don't let that mark on the side of it fool you. Just know that the tank for sale sign is quite literally there because I don't like this thing and I want it gone, or I want it buffed. Either or. So, my first impression of the Prototype 6 was, well, the stats that we see here were the stats that we read, but they weren't exactly the stats that we saw in game. My first impression video of this tank was 360 Alpha completely messed up in so many ways that it's not even funny. So for the Prototype 6, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce this at all, because I will just give up immediately. Starting off, 50% silver bonus, XP earn rate 10%. It's a standard tier 8 premium. You get 224 standard, 1030 shell velocity, then you get the 1300 shell velocity APCR, 268 standard pen, 268's nice, 320 damage, 420 high explosive. I've been able to utilize a little bit of my high explosive. Along with that, really bad concealment. In the time that I played this, there was another tank that came to mind that is just hands down better in so many ways. And we're going to be showing that tank off as well inside this video. Horsepower, you got 19.9 power to weight, 600 horsepower engine total, 50 top speed, 18 reverse speed. This 18 reverse speed is absolutely amazing. Being able to pop out, take your shot, and then back off. Unfortunately, you pop out, you take your shot. The thing is that you take one shot because here on console, we only have one gun. We don't have two. So 10.3 second reload, aim time of 2.2. Damage per minute 1866. Whenever you get this thing fully built up, I'm not really worried about calling it up at all. It's 2,557 damage that you get up to. Penetration of 500 meters, 214, 258. This allows you to be able to maintain decent at 300. Taking on a tortoise in a match earlier today was pretty nice. Accuracy during turret rotation. The accuracy is not bad inside this, 0.35. 40 round capacity, 8 degrees of gun depression, which is nice to have. 22 degrees of elevation. Yaw limit. Don't know why that's included on a turreted tank, but okay, 180 by 180. At least it doesn't lock out like the T28 prototype. Terrain resistance was readjusted from 1.1 and like 4,000 on the soft terrain to 0.8 to 0.9 to 1.7. So it's very decent whenever it comes down to having a little bit of mobility. Module damage 150, blast radius on the high explosive 1.91 meters. It's decent to know blast radius because if you're going up against something that's heavily armored, you can shoot the front of the turret and splash the top armor, and you'll get a little bit more damage out of that rather than just shooting a 200 millimeter plate and wasting that round. But I am not a fan. I got a couple of replays that we're going to go over, show off a few things about the tank, and then we'll get into a couple of details about it. But other than that, it makes me want to pull my hair out. So for the first match, it's going to be on Hidden Village. I'm a pretty big fan of Hidden Village, but we're probably just going to speed through a couple of these replays because none of them were exactly super impressive. We pushed up on the right side here to try and take on the castle and then get a couple of crossfire shots into E6, but a lot of the team came inside this direction, so the E6 push kind of fell off a little bit because the enemies decided to come up inside the top section here instead. So, you know, trying to use that 70 millimeters armors, and then, you know, understanding that I have extremely weak side armor inside this, which on the top flap, well, on the top angled plate, it's 30. Your side armor is 30 millimeters. Your turret armor, you're looking at a 170 millimeter turret that will show off the armor viewer here in a moment. Or Huzzah can pop up a, you know, quick little what the armor looks like in front of this. You got a 35 millimeter forehead, which can ricochet 105, but it can't ricochet 102. Sorry, 102. What am I? 122. There we go. My Spanglish is disappearing. And the turret doesn't exactly have a whole lot of auto ricochet angles, but your frontal armor is 70 on the top plate and 70 on the lower plate. Then there's 30 millimeters in front of the turret on that plate. That's at an extreme angle that, in all honesty, it doesn't provide much protection just because it's simply there. Armor on this doesn't exist. The gun, this is kind of where it goes. If the autoloader was in the game, that shot for me, I was sitting there confused about it, and then, oh, gotta watch out, where'd my gun go? I'm in trouble. Dead. Just death. And that is, it's so unfortunate that that's exactly how it's gonna go. Anyways, armor model inside this tank, you got your 35 millimeters. You got 30 millimeter side, 35 millimeter side armor on the inside. So there's no side scraping inside this unless you know that you're going against a 90 millimeter. 20 millimeters of under armor, 70 mils. Then you got the 30 mil plate right here. So we're going to go collision. So you got your 30 mil, 70 mil, 75 mil, 75, 80. And what sucks is about 80 is that this is pinnable because it's not at an extreme angle. You have to over angle just a tad bit to enter that auto ricochet angle on the inside of the turret here. And then coming back, that auto ricochet is now gone. So the only tanks that are actually going to struggle to go against you is tier 6. Tier 6 is going to be the only tier that's going to have problems going against this. To a tier 6, this is heavily armored whenever you're hauled down. But against tier 8 and tier 7, this is standard matchmaking. This is regular games. High explosives, I mean, don't get me wrong, we mentioned this. That's 3 times the armor value because high explosives versus the armor. You get space protection times 3 because of gun mantle. Space protection times 3 for high explosives. And premature detonation on the outskirt. But the armor, it's so thin that I just haven't had fun with it. And it blows me away. Second replay here is going to be over on Mines. And inside this match, I was telling Premium and Shakes that we want to take the one line because we want to prevent the cross in F5. You can really prevent a cross if you play this correctly because for whatever reason, Mines is deteriorating in it's deterioration, just like my brain at the moment trying to process why Wargaming adds in tanks like this. To where you're going to go into this position for a crossfire effect. If you have to engage, then you have to engage here on the K line, and you're kind of stuck in a little bit of a fight. But there's a couple of little spots that you can get to, for instance, right here's one of them that I don't mind showing off, that you can prevent the cross on the top section from this position. And I love it. This is, it's a super small spot. I learned about it a couple of weeks ago. just playing around and checking out the map looking for crossfires, and this is one that I found that if you're fast enough getting here, you can completely stop the entire cross in this midsection. And for people who are trying to go forward or back up, you're capable of punishing them. And this was one of the replays, one of the matches that I had me thinking, if I had the autoloader, I would have already spent, 2 rounds throwing out 600 damage or 640 damage. I would have been willing to throw out that additional shell from this position because I would have had the autoloader. Looking at the wings of a car's, whatever the heck the tank is called, I have no idea. Another pneumatic suspension tank that simply needs to have it being manual rather than automated, because automated sucks. This position would have been so much better if I had an autoloader. And the autoloader is the only thing that actually makes this tank look reasonable. Unfortunately, it's the only thing that makes this tank look half decent. And the only way it looks half decent is watching matches being played over on PC. Over here on console, I can't recommend it. Unfortunately, I love Italian autoloader tanks. I love my Progetto 54. I love my Pantera. I love my Standard B. I love my Progetto 66. I love my Progetto 46. I even love the Progetto 66, the Tier 9. I like the Rossarante. I like a lot of these Italian autoloaders, advanced autoloaders, auto reloaders, as I'm trying to, get my English in. To the point that they're fun. They have a different play style. They can have some controlling engagements. I have a video up a little while ago showing off the P44 Pantera, where I believe that was a 5,000 or 6,000 damage game here on mines, essentially having the exact same play style. And playing inside this tank, I just can't seem to find a reason to continue playing it. I'm not at my 50 match mark like I normally like to be at, but this is one of those tanks that it doesn't feel like it was brought into the game completed. It feels like it's missing one of the biggest things that makes it an Italian medium, and that is in fact the autoloader. With a single shot inside this, there's other tanks in game that simply just outright perform better in every single way. And best part is, that's the tank I want to talk about. Because in the same play session, I decided to play my CS-52 Lis. Now, the CS-52 Lis, if we go down and we compare the stats, penetration, yeah, we're on the lower end of penetration at 208, 252 premium pin, but don't let 252 fool you. It's a very decent pin. We got the same concealment, but the trade-off is, rather than 300 meters of still concealment, our CS-52 Lis is actually sitting at 271. So, sure, we have, I guess you can say, worse penetration. We have penetration. That's it. That is the only thing that is worse about this tank. Because if we come over to Tanks GG and take a look at the CS-52 Lis, suddenly you guys probably notice a giant difference in the way it looks. This turret is actually armored. We actually have side armor of 75 millimeters, top plate 80, lower plate 85. You can bait shells in the front. You have auto ricochet angles. You maximize your gun depression inside this tank, and suddenly your turret is 280, 250. We'll zoom out to get a better idea on the armor values here. 248, 241, 239, 205. Top plate's at auto ricochet. So whenever you're hull down and you're actually utilizing effective hull down angles inside this using maximum gun depression, your top plate is auto ricochet. If we come back to the Prototype 6 and we max out our gun depression, well, you got to really go overkill to get that auto ricochet angle on this. I mean, it's just, look at that. The difference is night and day. The Lis is an auto ricochet monstrosity with the way that top plate is angled in the back. Then you are also taking a look at Power to weight, 19.69. Okay. What was the Prototype 6 again? I can't remember, but it's very identical. Now, terrain resistance, sure, it doesn't exactly look the greatest, but then you put off-road driving on this and problem solves itself. You're suddenly just as comparable, but you have armor. Top speed of 50, reverse speed of 20. Suddenly, this is better. You have a better reverse speed and the same top speed, ever so slightly. Gun statistics, exactly the same. You look at the ammunition, 1569 on the premium. Suddenly, you are a sniper among snipers. You are, it just hands down better. You even have a faster reload, a 0.1 second worse aim time. You have 5 less rounds of ammunition, but the thing is, you have the armor to survive everything that you're doing. Now, sure, accuracy, a little bit worse. The accuracy during turret rotation is double the amount, but whenever it comes down to it, the moving traverse accuracy of this, am I blind? Is there moving accuracy? Unfortunately, no. World of Tanks website, they never like to show things properly, so you always have to go to like 9 different places to find the accuracy that you're looking for. Accuracy during movement, 2.48. This is with a fully decked out crew. This is with steady aim and everything else, but a lot of these statistics are very similar in many ways. But then there's this. You look at the CS-52 Lis. You look at the terrain resistance of 1.1, 1.3. We can go back to not the Progetto, the Prototype 6, and take a look at terrain resistance here. But then we look at traverse speed, 35. Turret rotation is 35 on this tank as well. Come back to the Lis, our traverse speed is 43 degrees per second rather than 35. But even with this terrain resistance, this tank outright just moves better to begin with. Along with that, turret rotation speed, as I am a Muppet once again, not able to find it here. Actually, I need to double check. Is it inside this list? Turret rotation speed. No, it's not. Thank you, Wargaming. No, it's right here. Traverse speed. There. I'm a Muppet. So you got 43, and then you got 40. I am blind. All right, I am just blind. Come back. You got 35, 35. So 35 degrees, and then you have 35 degrees on the tracks. So the Lis is already better in every single way compared to the Prototype 6. But if the Prototype 6 actually had the autoloader that it's supposed to have, Wargaming, this autoloader is the only thing that would make this tank worth it. But it's not. Anyways, this second replay is going to take a minute. So, we're going to watch it. And I'm going to change up my commentary on this match. Because for me, this was, in fact, an amazing match. Because it showed off teamwork, dedication as a crew, as being put together, and just having fun. Inside of a tank that is, hands down, better in every single way that is already in the game. And has been in the game for a while. Personally, for me, I feel like the accuracy on this tank is a whole lot better. The mobility is better. There's so many things just better whenever you look at this tank. If the Prototype 6 had its autoloader, this would be different. I would be willing to put all my matches inside that because I love my Pantera. I love my Italian autoloaders. I love them. They're so much fun. But that Prototype 6 makes me want to pull my hair out and smash my head against the wall non-stop, wondering why it is that it came into the game the way that it was. A 360 Alpha variant would make that tank a little bit more worthwhile. But 320 with no armor and no ability to trade is a little bit disappointing to me. If you guys didn't know, the VK4502K Tier 10 only has 200 millimeters on its gun mantle, so you can tear through the cheeks left and right of the gun mantle on the Panzer 7 and the VK7201. I said 0201K. You can tear through the gun mantle with like 200. No, you need about 210. Yeah, 210 will be consistent on there. But this match, we're just going to be doing a little bit of sniping early game and having a bit of fun right off the bat here. Also, I'm in a closet. I don't know about you guys, but I'm in a I'm in a closet. You know, I'm 26 and I'm living in a closet. I'm half in it, half out of it. I'm gonna have problems coming out of the closet. That's so bad. Breaking the barrel in the VK-7201K. E75, he's up to 13. Yeah, he's down to 19. Down to, what's his health? Huzzah, my brain. My 2 cells that are left over are 1398. Are, they're struggling. Alright? After this match, man, my brain shut down. I took a shower after this match. I had to shower after this one. It was a great one, along with Dino. Dino was... he's a little bit sick. And, yeah, he killed my ears. Not fun. And here I am with my, normal putting shells into the dirt. I like working this right side position. I've been trying out a couple of new things. Working this right side, you have a little... there's a lot of depression inside here, which allows you to get some decent cross shots in the mid. But you have to overexpose yourself if they pull in a little bit too close to the hillsides and the inside. So far up to 1853, 511 spotting, and not a whole lot going on. Just regular match here. I'm definitely scared of a T-30, so we're gonna want to back off. One thing about the Lis that I love is that auto ricochet top plate. When you are playing this tank hull down and you have your top plate sticking out, there are moments when people don't even think about it, and then they see your top plate sticking out, and they think, oh, it's the Lis. I always can tear through that top plate. It doesn't exist. So then they fire at it, and then they ricochet. So, you know, this is one of the tanks that it relies on auto ricochet angles, and it is extremely rewarding to use it and do so. Especially whenever you're top tier, this thing turns into a heavy tank. Even though your turret armor is only, what, like 200 mils? Not even that. You have 190 millimeter turret armor at the most effective. It has got extremely good angles on it, which allows you to do a lot of additional work inside the matchmaker. It is a great tank. Not the Prototype 6. Yeah, definitely. It saddens me that the Italians are the only ones that get slapped around a whole lot. That's what kind of sucks. VK? Oh, I can't remember if I get a shot rate. I do, 303. There we go. But so far, it is 6-12 right now. 6-12. This is not looking to be a very good game. This is, in fact, absolutely horrible. We are in a lot of trouble. But teamwork, well, you know what? We're going to pull an Anthem moment. Teamwork makes the dream work. Was it Anthem? Or when did that start? I can't remember where that actually came from. I mean, pretty much we pulled the B team stunt here at the very end. You know, 6-10, utilizing range. And by this point inside the match, I'm yelling at Premium to, hey, get over to me. We need to line up in this back section here and start getting view range out and prevent them from pushing. Because once they're past a certain section, it's completely over for us. So now, my job has changed. It's simply prep. Knock over trees, get this position set up to the best of my abilities before I get overwhelmed and outspotted. And just simply mention, sit inside, don't fire. This is all you got to do for the time being until I'm out of ammo. Because I got the shell velocity, I have the timing on the shells to really throw in the damage if possible. And if I need to swap and shuffle, I'm willing to swap and shuffle. A little bit of a misplay, misaiming there on my end. I should have taken my time on that shell a bit longer, but right here, that shell velocity is absolutely amazing at 1500. It is so fast and provides so much more than the Prototype 6. You see, it's a recurring thing here. But this is fantastic. Calling out, telling him just to, you know, needs to be a passive play. 5-8, originally 6 versus 12. And we have the IS-4 down in the bottom section completely by himself. The Grill 15 behind us, which Honestly, the grill, he could be doing a lot more work right now than what he is, but where he's positioned at, he's kind of in the middle section, so he's completely okay. He can provide support on left or right, depending on where he's needed to be putting the suppression down. This is one of the situations where lock and key. You just want to get yourself positioned and hold. In this moment, I am a little bit worried about the A line all the way down because there's only one half tree slightly covering me. And a few moments where I'm kind of wondering if this shot, I don't take it because I don't know if there's enough foliage in front of me to prevent them from scouting me out if I do fire. But I know if I back up, I can fire freely to the right because of the knocked over tree to my left. Because it provides just enough concealment to provide it. But I find the gun depression right here, throw the shell out for 293. Beautiful. So far up to 4,000 damage, 1390 in assist. And we're not going to try and risk it because I only have 10 shells left. That is kind of the downside to this tank, knowing that you only get 35 rounds of ammo. But you can make them count. And you can consistently make them count. That is what's so lovely. Along with that, the auto ricochet frontal plate. It doesn't matter what tier you're going up against. That auto ricochet plate is always going to be an auto ricochet plate. It's 80 millimeters of it, which means that you can bounce a Death Star off the frontal armor of this. Side armor, 75. I mean, there's nothing bad about this tank other than maybe a little bit less penetration. But does penetration mean everything? Once you hit a certain point, penetration doesn't have a whole lot of value because you're just going to be pinning everything. And with the mobility that this offers and then the armor it offers, you can get some really decent flanking plays off on inside of your CS-52 Lis. Or the Mantis, which is a tank I don't recommend. I believe the Borask is superior in terms of delivery, but in this situation, it's kind of hard to say which one I would prefer because the 4 shots is going to be much more value at 480 times 2 as a brain fart that I'm having. That I don't want to do the math, but it's a lot more than 720 on the Borask double shot. And here we go. Take our time out. Oh, I lost my gun depression. Backing up a little more to try and get it. Throwing a shell out because I want to try and assist the IS-4 that is just barely outside of my render range to get a little bit of extra damage out to try and support him as much as I can. One shell and that thing, it flew true, but it flew a little bit too true. Backside of the E75. I wanted to try and go for lower plate here, but I'm so far away that I don't trust any rounds that I'm going to be throwing out. And right here, based upon the map, I'm looking at it and I'm saying we need to rush the MBTB because he is currently by himself. He is still locked down back here, completely by himself. There's nothing that's going on. In a situation like this, for a lot of people, your main reaction is we just need to run. We need to get as far away as possible. There's no reason to stay here. But in this situation, what you actually want to do is position yourself to prevent the enemies from pushing you. You want to line up, pretend like you're running away, but then you make a comeback play. And the comeback play is very simple. A lot of the bushes here on this map provide extremely good concealment to where my job is very simple at the moment. It is get to an early position inside of a little bit of a defensive play back here to try and slow them down just in case they're pushing up a little bit too far. And Premium here, he's going to be pulling into the bush I'm telling him to go to, which is going to provide the best concealment on this side of the map, especially from some early scouting. And unfortunately right here, I have 6 rounds, and we throw 1 out, which only tracks the T-77. A little bit unfortunate there, that little bit of a miss-aim. So now I'm thinking I got to relocate because that T-77, he's going to be doing a little bit of a flanking play. You know, it's 3 to 4 at the moment. So we're going to want to head up to the top section here to get some better shots on that T-77 and knock him out as quick as we can. Just because E-75, T-30s here in the left, the roofless, or the second roofless, disappeared. We haven't been able to find him just yet. T-77 gets spotted by Premium. So we take our time, lead our shell, put a good one in, and then, oh, I got to pull forward. Oh, will you look at that. The Lis just did something that the Prototype 6 can't. And it did it better. Ricocheted off the side. If I was inside my Prototype 6 inside this match, I would have just eaten 800 damage or 600 damage from the T-30. Rather than ricocheting 750. Here I'm calling out to Premium. I'm down to 4-4. Let's switch out. It is my turn to now passive scout with my ammunition that I currently have left to prevent these guys from pushing in. And now it's his job to go take down that roofless. At the moment, the grill, I do find the grill made a little bit of a misplay because I looked behind me and I see the roofless is on, what was it, 48. It's a one shot for any of us. A high explosive to the front, one shot. And the grill just decides to fully rush in and get completely knocked out for whatever reason. So now, down to the last 2 minutes of the match. It's kind of a stalemate for these last 2 minutes, so I'll probably fast forward this to make it a little bit easier on everybody, because it's it's a little bit of a stalemate for quite some time. But I'm pinging the map telling Premium here that this is where you want to go. You want to try and get a couple of cross shots and kind of put them in a corner, because they have no idea where I'm located at in the last 30 seconds of the match. They don't know that I'm within 200 meters of them, or 170 meters, however far it is that I am away from that E75. So Premium here, he's going to pull up, he's going to get one shell off, and the goal is just, we're still both full health at the very end of this match. And that's what's so lovely about this, is the fact that we're still full health tier 8s, making tier 9s shiver inside of their crocs. One shell, 246 to help try and guarantee the destruction for both teams, to where we're both still full health, guaranteeing the victory against two tier 9s at the very end of the match here. A 6 versus 12 comeback. And to be honest, I don't see the Prototype 6 being able to perform like this inside of a match. That is a tank that, personally, I don't think it'll be able to replicate that at all. If it had the autoloader, maybe. Maybe not. I'm not 100%. This is a little bit different compared to a regular review, you guys. Just because the Prototype 6, I find it to be a good tank. But at the moment, it is not a tank I can sit down and recommend anyone to get their hands on, just because it's in an incomplete state. It's not ready. It probably never will be, knowing how long wargaming takes to do anything inside their game. Which, sadly, is unfortunate, because this tank has a lot of potential, but none of it has been tapped into. Anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a couple of new things today. And until next time, I'm going to go slack off and go to bed, because I am tired now. It's 11:12 at night. You guys, take it easy. See you in the next one.